this concept of a bird flying has an inner correspondent inside of myself which resonates. This concept resonates with what I see outside. And this resonance, this like getting in tune mentally, innerly getting in tune with what I see outside, if this tune is harmonic, I can say that I know and I understand what I see.
It's like you recognize in some way.
Yeah, somehow I experiment, I recognize knowledge of things. So, but if I have an emotion like envy, like anger, like censorship, in this process of resonance, recognition, there will be an obstacle. So if I see a beautiful person, inside and outside, a good person, and if I have this envy, unconscious envy, this will impede the full resonance to happen, and this idea, this concept, will be deformed. I will think wrong things about that person. I will not see that person as good, beautiful anymore. I will deform the thought and see him or she as bad, as dangerous, and paranoia is related to that, deformation.
So we, in a way, Dr. Keppe's work is creating a true psychology, not to see the problem of the human being as something to do with brain chemicals or some behavioral problem from the past or some societal imposition, but a real true psychology. My world is how I see my world is a reflection of how I am.
Yes, exactly. So if I look at the world and I only see negativity, so there is this problem of envy and inversion blocking the true recognition of life, of creation, of how things really are, what is wrong in a situation, what is truly wrong in a place, for instance, that sometimes you feel something that is not right, but you cannot identify. So you don't have your consciousness really in tune with reality. Mm-hmm. It's being blocked by your unconscious emotions.
Yeah. Again, the premise of Dr. Keppe's work is that the human being is, at his basis, healthy. Good, beautiful, true is the essence of the human being. So any problem we have, physical, psychological, emotional, even social, is some sort of distortion of that essential nature that we have.
And I'll give you an example, very practical. Generally, couples, when they get married, they think they know each other.
Yes.
And after some time,
3 months,
they say, I don't know you anymore. I don't recognize you. You're not the person I got married
Have you
with.
always been leaving your underwear on the floor like that? I never noticed that before, suddenly.
So, what happens is that sometimes we idealize our partner or husband or wife. We idealize and we imagine that person. We fantasize a person in accordance to what I would like him or she to be. Or I can develop a process of envy and start blaming that person for all my insatisfactions, all the negativity I have inside of myself that makes me feel uncomfortable, that makes me feel frustrated. I blame the other person for that discomfort. And this is projection. I'm projecting onto the other person my inner elements that I'm not conscious of in myself. And analysis is all about becoming more consciousness and aware of my inner life. And the technique is the interiorization. And we can give in this program during the call examples of how you can learn a little bit, at least in the beginning, to interiorize yourself and to know how to better use the external world and other people to know better yourself.
I can try to give an example. It's kind of a simple example, Claudia, a practical one, I hope. I was driving, when I first came to Brazil, I was driving with a friend to the opera on a Sunday, and we were in typical Brazilian fashion. We were a little bit late. And we got behind a Sunday driver. And you know, when you're going to the opera, you can't be late. They don't let you in until there's a break in the action. Could be for like an hour before you can get in. So we were under some pressure. And we got behind a Sunday driver. Everybody knows this experience. The person's whistling, looking in the air, not paying attention to their driving. And we're both starting to feel the pressure. I noticed my friend who was driving, his fingernails were starting to beat on the steering wheel. He started to feel the pressure, and then suddenly he stopped and he said, I know what's irritating me. I'm perceiving somehow that I'm blocking myself in my life. I don't go forward in my life. I'm stopping myself somehow. I'm perceiving that this is what I do in my life. And he perceived all that through the experience he was having of frustration with this slow driver in front of him. And I thought this, for me, when I was new here, this was like wow, how can you be so intelligent or so stable as to be able to see that? To me, it was just a terrible driver, you know. So there was something very beautiful in that example.
Yeah, because you can react in in more or less in two ways. One is to be patient, understand the process and the problem, and wait for your time, your turn.
Yeah.
And another one is to get angry, to get nervous, and to feel identified with the situation. So this person didn't like to see, normally in his life, not only in that instance, but in all instances where and when he blocked himself from moving forward.
Yeah.
He should be probably a very censored and very rigid person.
And maybe a person with a lot of potential, quote unquote, not realizing the potential that he feels he has. That's a possibility too, isn't it? We are healing through consciousness. I want to give you the phone numbers once again if you're listening and thinking, boy, it would be great to talk with Dr. Claudia Bernhardt-Pacheco about any problem you have. I have another one from email that I received, Claudia, I'd like to bring up with you.
Good.
But let me just give you the phone numbers again. If you're calling from outside the continental United States, the number toll-free is 888.
And if they don't want to identify themselves, there's fine. No problem.
Sure, exactly. Outside continental United States, toll-free, 888-815-9756. Inside the United States, toll-free again, 877-876-5227. I'm giving a lot of phone numbers here. It sounds like we're like a laundry list of phone numbers. You can also get that on the website where our radio program is being broadcast, the great people at bbsradio.com. Just go to Radio 1, click on the button there in the left-hand corner, and you'll be able to see the Listen Now button where you can listen to the program, and also where you can see all the telephone numbers that you want to call. Claudia, a woman wrote to me a number of months ago from a podcast that I produced that you were participating in, this particular podcast, and she said, Richard, here's a topic I'd love you to consider in your radio program. What is it about human beings that keeps us from saying what we really mean? What are we protecting, and at what cost? What would happen if we really did speak our mind? And do we not speak our mind because we're on autopilot, meaning that we're being if we were being mindful, would we say what we really mean? Or do we avoid saying what we really mean because our conscious mind is protecting us from some perceived danger? Well, there's 10 or 15 questions in that email. But you could talk a little bit about that, our relationship with the truth as human beings, about speaking what we really think.
You know, Richard, it seems that one of the biggest problems and the biggest inversions we have is about truth. And when I give some lectures, people right away stand up and say, how come? Who are you to speak about the truth?
Right.
Who knows about the truth? And so I have my truth. You have your truth. Everybody has one's truth. And then I would ask, do you know what a lie means? Do you feel good? Do you accept when you perceive that people are lying to you? Do you like it?